Every day is an opportunity for growth, yet so many of us find ourselves caught in routines that don't push us forward. We all have goals, dreams, and things we want to improve about ourselves. But often, we don't know where to begin or how to make consistent progress. It's easy to get distracted by the noise of daily life and feel like the things that matter most slip through the cracks. This is why it's crucial to focus on specific areas of your life each day. These aren't just random tasks or habits. They're things that, when practiced regularly, will transform your mindset, boost your productivity, and build the discipline necessary to achieve long-term success. In this guide, you'll learn about the 10 essential things you should work on every day. These are not quick fixes or one-time efforts. They are consistent practices that, when done regularly, will help you become the best version of yourself. Each step is simple but powerful. They will help you move past the self-doubt, distractions, and bad habits that hold you back. By the end of this guide, you will understand how to make steady progress toward your goals, build the mindset of someone who keeps improving no matter what, and develop habits that stick. It's all about taking small, consistent steps each day that over time add up to meaningful change. Ready to dive in? Let's get started. Chapter 1. Identifying limiting beliefs. There are days when everything feels right, when the world seems to line up perfectly with your goals and aspirations. But then, there are other days when you feel stuck, frustrated, or like something is quietly holding you back. You might have big dreams, ambitions, and the desire to improve, but there's this invisible force that feels like it's constantly pulling you down. It's as if there's a wall that you can't see, yet you know it's there, preventing you from moving forward. That wall, more often than not, is made up of the beliefs you hold about yourself and your abilities. The concept of limiting beliefs isn't new. Most of us have heard the phrase before, but we often underestimate just how powerful they can be. These beliefs, no matter how subtle, shape the way we approach life. They are the silent drivers of our decisions, actions, and even the choices we don't make. We all have them to some degree, and they influence our behavior in ways we often don't realize. But here's the thing, these beliefs aren't facts. They are just thoughts that we've accepted as truth over time, many of which we've never questioned. The problem with limiting beliefs is that they make us believe we are incapable of achieving what we desire. They tell us we're not good enough, not smart enough, not capable enough. These beliefs might have formed in childhood, perhaps from a teacher or a parent who unknowingly planted a seed of doubt. Maybe it was a failure or rejection that led you to conclude that you weren't cut out for success. Over time, that seed grew, and now it seems like an undeniable part of who you are. But the truth is, limiting beliefs are just that, beliefs. They are not unchangeable facts of life. In fact, they are often based on distorted thinking, past experiences, or fears that no longer serve us. And if we want to make real progress, we need to identify and challenge these beliefs, one by one. It's a process that requires self-awareness and courage, but once you start questioning these beliefs, you'll begin to see a shift. You'll start realizing that the walls that seemed so tall were actually just illusions. Consider for a moment the belief that you aren't good enough. It's a common one. Many of us carry it with us in different forms, but if you take a step back, you'll realize that there's no universal standard for good enough. What does it even mean to be good enough? Is it some fixed point that once achieved, you'll suddenly become worthy of success, happiness, or fulfillment? The reality is that we are constantly evolving, constantly learning and growing. The idea of good enough is fluid, not fixed. Think about the first time you tried something new. Perhaps it was a job interview, a performance, or even a simple conversation. Chances are, you didn't feel good enough before you did it. But after the experience, you gained knowledge, confidence, and perspective. And over time, you became better. You may not have been good enough at first, but with effort, persistence, and learning, you grew into the person who is now capable. The belief that you're not good enough is simply a product of not having had enough practice or exposure to whatever you're trying to achieve. It's a belief that only holds power if you let it. The same goes for the belief that you don't deserve success or happiness. This is another belief that can limit you in ways you might not even realize. It's not uncommon for people to feel like they haven't earned their success or aren't worthy of their dreams. But the truth is, everyone deserves happiness, success, and fulfillment. You are not defined by your past mistakes, your failures, or the things that didn't work out. You are defined by the actions you take from this point forward. When you start to challenge these limiting beliefs, you might initially feel uncomfortable. It's normal. After all, you've carried these beliefs with you for years, even decades, and they've shaped the way you see the world. But once you recognize that these beliefs are not set in stone, you'll start to see new possibilities. You'll begin to understand that you can shape your own story, regardless of what your past tells you. But how do you begin the process of identifying and breaking free from these beliefs? The first step is simple: awareness. You can't change something if you don't know it's there. Pay attention to the thoughts you have when you face challenges. What do you say to yourself when things get tough? When you don't get the results you want, how do you react? Are you quick to blame yourself, to think, "I'm just not good enough," or "this isn't meant for me"? These thoughts are clues to the limiting beliefs you carry. It's also important to pay attention to patterns. If you've tried to achieve something multiple times and consistently fall short, it's easy to start believing that you'll never succeed. But these patterns don't mean you're destined to fail. They simply reflect your current mindset. If you can change your mindset, the pattern will change. The next step is to challenge those beliefs. Once you identify them, question their validity. Ask yourself, is this belief true? Where's the evidence? Take a good look at your past experiences and see if they support or contradict the belief. If you believe you're bad with money, think about times when you've managed money well. Maybe you've saved for a big purchase, or maybe you've been able to make smart financial decisions in the past. Those moments prove that you're not inherently bad with money. They just show that you can improve with practice and focus. It's also helpful to reframe the belief. Instead of telling yourself, "I'm terrible with money," reframe it to, "I'm still learning how to manage my finances, but I'm getting better every day." This simple shift in perspective can make a huge difference. You stop seeing yourself as bad or incapable and start seeing yourself as someone who is on a journey of growth. But perhaps the most powerful way to break free from limiting beliefs is through action. You have to take small steps, even if it's uncomfortable at first. If you believe that you're not good enough to pursue a new career, start by researching the field. Read books, talk to people who are in that field, and take courses. The more you expose yourself to new opportunities, the more you'll see that you're capable of learning and growing. The belief that you're not good enough will gradually fade as you prove to yourself that you can take action, learn, and succeed. This is where the real magic happens. The more you act despite your fears and doubts, the more you realize that you are not defined by your beliefs. You are defined by the actions you take, by your willingness to challenge what's been holding you back. The key to getting better every single day is not just about improving your skills or achieving your goals. It's about changing the way you think, about questioning the beliefs that limit you. The moment you realize that you are not bound by your past or your self-imposed limits, you unlock a new level of potential. And once you start to see that, everything begins to change. The journey to overcoming limiting beliefs isn't always easy, but it is absolutely worth it. Each time you break free from a belief that has held you back, you take a step closer to becoming the person you've always wanted to be. You start to live with purpose, with confidence, and with the belief that you are capable of achieving anything you set your mind to. As you move forward, remember that you are not your beliefs. You are the person who chooses to act, to learn, and to grow. And with each day, you get better. Not because you're good enough, but because you're committed to improving, one step at a time. Chapter 2: The Neuroscience of Creativity. The world we live in is full of endless possibilities, yet many of us still find ourselves struggling to unlock our own creative potential. It's almost as if creativity is something reserved for a select few, a gift bestowed upon the fortunate. But the truth is, creativity is not some mysterious trait that only a handful of people possess. It's a skill that can be nurtured, developed, and even expanded over time. Understanding the science behind creativity helps us realize that it's not about waiting for a burst of inspiration. Instead, it's about creating the right conditions for creativity to flow. The brain is a remarkable organ, capable of forming new connections, synthesizing information, and coming up with innovative ideas. Creativity isn't some mystical process that happens by chance. It's the result of complex neural interactions, many of which we can influence. Every time you make a new connection, solve a problem in a novel way, or come up with a fresh idea, your brain is actively rewiring itself. This is called neuroplasticity, and it means your brain can adapt, grow, and change based on the experiences you give it. Understanding how your brain functions when it's in a creative state is the first step in unlocking your creative potential. The brain doesn't work in a linear step-by-step fashion. It's constantly taking in information, filtering it, and making connections. Creativity occurs when you take seemingly unrelated ideas or experiences and combine them in a new way. It's not about having all the answers at once, but rather having the ability to make new connections between things you already know. The idea of the light bulb moment, when inspiration strikes out of nowhere, is a myth. Creativity tends to thrive in an environment that encourages it, where ideas are allowed to flow freely, without judgment or restriction. When you try too hard to force creativity, your brain becomes bogged down by stress and pressure, making it more difficult to think clearly. On the other hand, when you give yourself permission to explore ideas without immediately worrying about the outcome, your brain can open up to new possibilities. This process starts with the mind's ability to access different states of thinking. One of the most important states is what psychologists call the default mode network. This is the part of the brain that becomes active when we're not focusing on any specific task, but are instead allowing our minds to wander. Daydreaming, letting your mind drift while you're on a walk, or relaxing in a quiet space. These are all opportunities for your brain to make connections that you might not consciously recognize. It's during these moments that your brain is actively processing information and seeking new ways to combine what it already knows. In fact, some of the most creative breakthroughs have happened when people weren't actively trying to be creative at all.
Another important aspect of creativity is the ability to take risks and embrace failure. Too often, we shy away from trying something new because we fear failure. We worry about looking foolish or making mistakes, and that fear prevents us from taking action. But the reality is, failure is an essential part of the creative process. It's through our mistakes that we learn and grow. Each failure teaches us something valuable, whether it's a new perspective, a different approach, or simply the knowledge that we're one step closer to finding the solution. Creativity doesn't come from getting everything right on the first try. It's about experimenting, learning, and iterating. One of the most powerful tools in unlocking creativity is the ability to shift your mindset. If you see creativity as something rare and unattainable, you'll constantly struggle to tap into it. But if you view it as a skill that anyone can develop, you'll start to approach challenges with curiosity rather than fear. Rather than asking, "What's the right answer?" ask, "What can I discover?" This simple shift in perspective opens up new possibilities and helps you move away from the idea that creativity is something reserved for the lucky few. One of the biggest misconceptions about creativity is that it requires inspiration to get started. People often think that you need to wait for the perfect idea to come to you, and that only then can you start working. But the truth is, creativity is a process, not a moment of inspiration. The key is to build momentum. Start with a small idea, no matter how insignificant it might seem. Often, the act of starting is the hardest part. Once you begin, your brain will naturally start to build on what you've already done, and the creative process will take shape. The more you practice, the easier it becomes to access your creative potential. This is where consistency becomes important. Just like any skill, creativity gets better the more you practice it. Set aside time each day to engage in creative activities, even if you don't feel like it. Some of the most creative breakthroughs happen when you least expect them. Maybe it's in the shower, on a long walk, or just sitting quietly with your thoughts. The point is to create space for creativity to show up. The key to nurturing creativity is also to feed your brain with new experiences and information. The more diverse your experiences, the more connections your brain can make. Read books, explore new hobbies, travel, talk to people with different perspectives, do anything that expands your mind. Creativity thrives on diversity. When your brain is exposed to new and varied information, it can combine those experiences in unexpected ways. You might also find that working within constraints can enhance your creativity. Having too many choices or an overwhelming sense of possibility can actually stifle creative thinking. On the other hand, working with a specific challenge or a set of limitations can force your brain to think more innovatively. This is why certain creative exercises, like brainstorming within a set of rules or creating something out of limited materials, can help trigger new ideas. The boundaries don't limit creativity, they actually fuel it. Collaboration is another powerful tool for sparking creativity. When you share ideas with others, you open yourself up to new perspectives and fresh approaches. Collaboration allows you to bounce ideas off one another, get feedback, and see things from angles you might not have considered on your own. Creative collaboration often leads to breakthroughs that wouldn't have been possible in isolation. So don't be afraid to seek out partnerships or ask for feedback. Even if the process feels uncomfortable at first, the results can be incredibly rewarding. Above all, the most important thing you can do to nurture your creativity is to trust the process. Stop worrying about perfection, stop waiting for the perfect idea, and just begin. Creativity isn't about making something full. It's about starting where you are, making mistakes, learning from them, and gradually refining your ideas. With each step forward, your creativity will grow, and as it does, you'll find yourself more open to new ideas, more willing to take risks, and more confident in your ability to create something unique. The beauty of creativity is that it's not limited to any one area of life. You can be creative in your job, in your relationships, in your personal development. Creativity is not about being an artist. It's about being someone who can think outside the box, solve problems in new ways, and approach challenges with a fresh perspective. The more you understand the science behind creativity, the more you can apply it to all areas of your life. The possibilities are endless, as long as you embrace the process and give yourself the freedom to explore. So start today. Give yourself permission to think differently, to challenge your assumptions, and to experiment without the pressure of needing to be perfect. When you do, you'll unlock a wellspring of creativity that has always been there, waiting for you to discover it. Creativity is not something reserved for a few special people. It's a skill that anyone can develop, and it's yours for the taking. All it takes is the willingness to begin and the courage to see where the journey will take you.
Chapter 3. Disrupting the status quo. Change is uncomfortable. That's a simple truth we can all agree on. Even when we know it's necessary, when we can see its potential, change still feels like a heavy weight. It's like standing at the edge of a cliff, knowing you could soar if you take the leap, but also feeling the fear of the unknown. Most people settle into comfort because it's familiar and, in a way, safe. We like routine, the predictability of the day, the certainty that tomorrow will look somewhat like today. But here's the catch. The world around us is constantly changing, and if we're not willing to adapt, we risk being left behind. The status quo may feel comfortable, but it's not where growth happens. The magic, the breakthroughs, the progress, all of those occur when we step outside of what we've always known and challenge the way things have always been. Disrupting the status quo isn't just about changing for the sake of it. It's about seeking better ways, better solutions, and a more meaningful life. It's about questioning the things that hold us back and daring to step into uncharted territory. But change, by its nature, demands courage. It's a willingness to be uncomfortable, to challenge yourself, and to embrace the uncertainty of not knowing exactly where you'll land. It's far easier to maintain the status quo, but by doing so, you're missing out on the potential to grow, to achieve, to be better than you were yesterday. The first step in disrupting the status quo is understanding that the world around you is shaped by people who dared to be different, people who challenged accepted norms. Think about the great innovators throughout history, the people who changed the way we live. Thomas Edison, Albert Einstein, Steve Jobs. None of these individuals took the path of least resistance. They faced setbacks, doubters and failures, yet they were driven by a belief that something could be different. They saw the potential in what others couldn't see and took steps to bring their vision to life. This mindset is the key to disrupting the status quo in your own life. The willingness to challenge yourself, your assumptions, and your circumstances. It's not about blindly rejecting everything you know, but about questioning it. Ask yourself, is there a better way to do this? Is there something I could try that would push me further? What's the next step that will take me to where I want to be? Disrupting the status quo isn't limited to big, world-changing inventions. It happens on a personal level too. You disrupt the status quo when you decide to improve yourself, when you choose to be better than you were yesterday. Think about the habits that shape your life. How often do you fall into routines that feel safe, but don't actually help you grow? The habit of procrastination, the habit of avoiding challenges, the habit of staying comfortable in a job or relationship that doesn't serve you, these are all ways in which the status quo keeps you stagnant. The key to disrupting your own status quo is to stop accepting things the way they are. Look at your life through a fresh lens, as if you were an outsider observing it. Ask yourself, what could I do today that would push me toward a better version of myself? It could be as simple as waking up an hour earlier to focus on a personal project, saying no to a commitment that doesn't align with your goals, or setting aside time to learn a new skill. These small shifts are the first steps in shaking up the routines that no longer serve you. But disrupting the status quo doesn't just happen by making changes here and there. It requires a mindset shift, a willingness to see the potential for something better, and the courage to go after it. It's easy to be trapped by the belief that you can't do better, that you're not capable, that this is just how things are meant to be. But what if that belief is the thing that's holding you back? What if the real barrier is your own perception of what's possible? The truth is, most of us limit ourselves more than we realize. We impose invisible boundaries on our own potential, believing that certain dreams are too big, too far out of reach. But in reality, many of these limitations are self-imposed. They stem from fears, doubts, and misconceptions about what we're capable of. Disrupting the status quo means breaking down these self-imposed barriers and stepping into new possibilities. One of the most powerful ways to do this is through action. When you take action, no matter how small, you disrupt the comfort of inaction. Action has a way of shaking things up and creating momentum. Think about the times when you felt stuck or uncertain. Chances are, the moment you took action, whether it was starting a new project, making a difficult decision, or taking a risk, things began to shift. Momentum follows action, and action follows clarity. When you start moving in a new direction, the path becomes clearer. Taking action requires you to take ownership of your choices. You are responsible for creating the life you want, and this requires bold decisions. Disrupting the status quo requires you to stop waiting for permission and to start making things happen for yourself. You might not know the exact outcome, and that's okay. But by taking that first step, you're saying, I'm not content with the way things are. I'm ready for something more. Another important aspect of disrupting the status quo is resilience. Change doesn't happen overnight, and the road to transformation is often filled with setbacks and failures. It's easy to give up when things don't go as planned, but real change doesn't happen because everything is perfect. It happens because you keep going, even when it feels difficult. Resilience is about staying committed to your goals, even in the face of adversity. It's about embracing failure as part of the process and not letting it define you. Disrupting the status quo also involves surrounding yourself with people who inspire you, people who encourage you to be better, people who are willing to challenge you and push you out of your comfort zone. Look at the people you spend time with. Do they elevate you, or do they keep you stuck in the same old patterns? The people around you have a huge influence on your mindset and your ability to break free from the status quo. Seek out those who inspire growth, who have a vision for the future, and who push you to be the best version of yourself. When you make the decision to disrupt the status quo, you're not just changing your own life. You're creating a ripple effect that extends to everyone around you. Your courage, your determination, your willingness to take action, it all inspires others to do the same. Think about the people who have inspired you in your life. They were not the ones who played it safe or followed the crowd. They were the ones who dared to be different, who took risks, and who changed the game. As you start to challenge the norms,
Whether they're personal or societal, you begin to see new opportunities. Disrupting the status quo opens up possibilities that you never saw before. It requires you to think bigger, to think bolder, and to believe that you are capable of more than you've been led to believe. It's not just about shaking things up for the sake of change. It's about making room for growth, for new experiences, and for a better future. The most powerful tool for disrupting the status quo is the mindset you adopt. A mindset that sees change as an opportunity, not a threat. A mindset that welcomes challenges as a chance to grow. A mindset that believes you are capable of achieving greatness, no matter what obstacles stand in your way. When you embrace the idea of disrupting the status quo, you're not just improving your own life. You're showing the world what's possible when we stop accepting things the way they are. You're taking the first step in creating the life you truly desire, a life that's not dictated by fear, comfort, or complacency, but by purpose, passion, and progress. Chapter 4. Reprogramming your subconscious mind. We all have voices in our heads, those whispers that tell us what we can't do, what we're not good enough for, or what we should be afraid of. Sometimes they're subtle, sometimes they're loud, but they're always there, shaping our thoughts and actions. These voices are not always based on reality. They are often rooted in fears, doubts, and past experiences that have nothing to do with our true potential. These are the beliefs we've adopted over time, beliefs about who we are, what we can achieve, and what's possible for us. But here's the hard truth. Many of these beliefs are nothing more than stories we've been telling ourselves, stories that limit our growth and keep us stuck in old patterns. Reprogramming your subconscious mind is the process of taking control of these beliefs and replacing them with ones that empower you. It's about shifting your internal narrative from one of limitation to one of possibility. The good news is that this isn't something that happens overnight, but it is something that you have the power to change. The first step is understanding that your subconscious mind is the root of many of your actions. While you may consciously want to achieve great things, your subconscious mind is what drives the majority of your behavior. It stores all of your past experiences, emotions, and learned beliefs, and it operates largely on autopilot. When you make a decision, you're typically not only responding to what's in front of you, but also to the beliefs and memories stored in your subconscious. If you've failed in the past or encountered hardship, your subconscious mind may develop the belief that you're not good enough, or that success is out of reach. These beliefs are so deeply ingrained that you may not even realize they're shaping your actions. If you've ever found yourself sabotaging your progress, procrastinating, or hesitating when it's time to take a leap, chances are your subconscious mind is at play, keeping you trapped in those limiting patterns. So how do you break free? The key is to become aware of those beliefs and challenge them. Start by identifying the thoughts and stories that are holding you back. Do you believe that you're not talented enough, smart enough, or capable enough? Do you fear failure or worry that you won't be accepted? These beliefs are often formed by past experiences, negative feedback, or societal expectations. They become so familiar that they feel like the truth, but they are simply stories. The truth is, you are more than capable, more than deserving, and more than enough. To reprogram your subconscious mind, you first need to replace these limiting beliefs with new empowering ones. This is where affirmations and visualization come into play. Affirmations are positive statements that you repeat to yourself regularly. By affirming who you want to be and what you want to achieve, you are planting seeds of belief in your subconscious. For example, instead of thinking, "I'm not good enough," replace it with, "I am capable of achieving my goals." Instead of thinking, "I always fail," Replace it with every setback is an opportunity to learn and grow. Over time, these positive statements begin to override the negative beliefs that have been holding you back. Visualization is another powerful tool for reprogramming your subconscious. When you visualize yourself succeeding, whether it's completing a project, landing a job, or achieving a personal goal, you're sending a clear message to your mind that success is possible. This process helps to break the connection between your past experiences and your future potential. It allows you to see yourself not as a victim of your circumstances, but as someone who can create new outcomes. The more vividly you imagine yourself succeeding, the more your subconscious mind begins to accept it as a reality. One of the biggest challenges in reprogramming your subconscious mind is overcoming resistance. The subconscious doesn't like change. It's comfortable with the familiar, even if that familiar thing is holding you back. When you try to shift your beliefs, you may encounter pushback. You might feel a sense of doubt or resistance, almost as if something inside of you is saying, "This isn't who I am." But that's exactly the point. It's not who you are, it's who you've been conditioned to be. Your subconscious mind is simply trying to protect you from discomfort, but discomfort is where growth happens. The key to overcoming resistance is consistency. Reprogramming your subconscious mind isn't a one-time task, it's a daily practice. The more consistently you affirm your new beliefs, visualize your success, and take action toward your goals, the more your subconscious mind will adapt. Just like learning any new skill, reprogramming your mind takes time. It takes practice. But the more you do it, the easier it becomes. In addition to affirmations and visualization, another powerful tool is self-hypnosis. This technique allows you to tap into your subconscious mind directly by inducing a relaxed state in which your mind is more receptive to suggestions. In this state, you can give yourself positive affirmations or visualize your goals with even greater clarity. Many successful people use self-hypnosis as a way to change their mindset and reprogram the beliefs. While it may sound like something out of a movie, it's simply a state of deep relaxation where your mind is more open to new ideas. Another effective method for reprogramming your subconscious mind is through meditation. Meditation helps to quiet the mind and increase your awareness of your thoughts. It allows you to observe your internal dialogue without judgment. In doing so, you can start to notice the limiting beliefs that arise and replace them with new empowering thoughts. Meditation also helps you stay present, which is essential for breaking free from old patterns. When you focus on the present moment rather than dwelling on past failures or worrying about the future, you create space for new beliefs and new experiences to take root. As you go through this process of reprogramming, it's important to remember that your subconscious mind doesn't always work on your timeline. It's not about snapping your fingers and suddenly feeling different. It's about small, consistent shifts that build over time. Each time you affirm a positive belief, visualize your success, or meditate with intention, you're rewiring your brain to align with your new reality. These changes may not always feel dramatic in the moment, but over time they will lead to significant shifts in how you perceive yourself and the world around you. Another key element in reprogramming your subconscious mind is to take action. Your mind can't distinguish between imagined experiences and real experiences, which means that when you visualize yourself succeeding or take steps toward your goals, your subconscious begins to accept that reality is true. The more action you take, the more your subconscious mind aligns with the beliefs you are trying to instill. Even small actions like making a phone call, starting a new project, or learning a new skill signal to your mind that you are moving forward. The more you act in alignment with your new beliefs, the more your subconscious will accept those beliefs as part of your identity. It's also important to surround yourself with positive influences, people, books, podcasts, or any content that reinforces the beliefs you want to adopt. When you fill your environment with messages that encourage growth, positivity, and success, you create an atmosphere that supports your reprogramming efforts. The people you spend time with have a significant impact on your subconscious mind. If you're constantly surrounded by negativity or self-doubt, it will be much harder to change your beliefs. But if you're around people who uplift you and challenge you to grow, you'll find that your subconscious mind starts to reflect those influences. Reprogramming your subconscious mind isn't about changing who you are. It's about removing the obstacles that have been limiting you. It's about uncovering the truth of who you are and aligning your beliefs with your true potential. It's about creating new stories of strength, success, and possibility that empower you to live the life you were always meant to live. The journey of reprogramming your mind is ongoing, but with consistent effort, the rewards are immense. You'll begin to see yourself in a new light, with a deeper sense of confidence and belief in your ability to achieve your goals. Over time, your subconscious mind will reflect your new beliefs, and the life you desire will start to become your reality.
Chapter 5. The Myths of Confidence. Confidence is a trait that many people believe is reserved for a select few. It's often thought of as something you either have or you don't, a natural gift that some are born with and others simply lack. But the truth is, confidence is not something you are born with, it's something you can develop. It is a skill, and like any other skill, it takes practice, patience, and intentional effort to build and sustain. One of the biggest misconceptions about confidence is that it comes from external validation. We often think that if we get recognition from others, if we win a competition, or if we achieve a certain goal, then we'll finally feel confident. But this is the myth that holds so many people back. External validation can be fleeting. It's dependent on others, and as we all know, it's unreliable. Relying on the approval of others for our sense of worth is a dangerous game, because it means that our confidence is constantly at the mercy of someone else's opinion or circumstances. True confidence comes from within. It's the belief in your own abilities, the trust that you are capable of handling whatever comes your way. It doesn't depend on external factors. Instead, it's rooted in self-assurance, self-belief, and the knowledge that you are enough, exactly as you are. Developing this internal validation system is one of the most powerful steps you can take on the path to greater confidence. When we rely on others to tell us we're good enough, we're handing over our power. But when we cultivate internal validation, we take control of our self-worth. It doesn't matter if someone doesn't like us or if we fail at something. Our confidence doesn't crumble because it wasn't built on fragile foundations. Instead, we know that our value is inherent, not dependent on external praise or success. The most successful and confident individuals understand this. They don't wait for someone else to tell them they're good enough. They tell themselves that every single day. A great way to build internal validation is through self-affirmations. These aren't just empty words. They're powerful statements that remind you of your strengths, your potential, and your worth. Affirmations work by reinforcing positive beliefs about yourself, counteracting the negative ones that may have been built up over time. You might start with simple statements like, "I am worthy," "I am capable," or "I trust myself to succeed." These affirmations are not wishful thinking. They are reminders of the truth that your value is not contingent on the opinions of others. Over time, as you repeat these affirmations, they will begin to reshape your mindset. They will help you shift from a place of doubt and insecurity to a place of self-assurance. It's important to remember that the process of building confidence is gradual. It won't happen overnight. But with consistency, you'll notice a shift. The more you affirm your worth, the more you start to believe it. You begin to recognize your own strength and capabilities, and that recognition becomes the foundation of your confidence. Another way to build internal validation is by setting and achieving small goals. Confidence is built through competence. When we achieve something, no matter how small, we prove to ourselves that we are capable. Each small victory, no matter how insignificant it may seem, reinforces the belief that we can handle more, that we are capable of succeeding. It's important to celebrate these small wins because they lay the groundwork for larger successes. The more you accomplish, the more you build evidence that you can do hard things. This evidence, over time, becomes the foundation of your confidence. It's also essential to embrace the inevitable setbacks and failures that come with any journey. Often, we associate failure with a lack of confidence, thinking that if we were truly confident, we would never fail. But the opposite is true. Failure is a part of growth. It's a necessary step on the road to success. The most confident people are not the ones who never fail. They're the ones who fail, learn from it and keep moving forward. They understand that failure doesn't define them. It's simply a lesson. When you can adopt this mindset, you'll start to see challenges as opportunities rather than threats. You'll stop fearing failure and start seeing it as a chance to grow, improve, and become stronger. One of the most effective ways to build your internal validation system is through self-reflection. At the end of each day, take a moment to reflect on what you did well. What are the things that you accomplished, no matter how small? What strengths did you demonstrate? By reflecting on your successes and strengths, you reinforce your belief in yourself. You remind yourself that you are capable, that you are worthy of success, and that you are constantly improving. This daily habit of self-reflection helps you stay grounded in your value, regardless of external circumstances. It's also important to surround yourself with people who encourage and support your growth. While external validation should not be the cornerstone of your confidence, having a positive and supportive environment can make a big difference. Surround yourself with people who believe in you, who uplift you, and who challenge you to be your best. These people will reinforce your internal validation and help you stay motivated, especially on the days when you doubt yourself. They will remind you of your worth when you forget. But remember, their validation should complement, not replace, your own. Building confidence is not about being perfect. It's about embracing your imperfections and recognizing that they don't diminish your value. No one is perfect, and no one has it all together all the time. Confidence comes from being comfortable with who you are, flaws and all. It's about accepting yourself fully, knowing that your imperfections are a part of what makes you human, and choosing to move forward anyway. One of the most transformative things you can do for your confidence is to stop comparing yourself to others. Comparison is the thief of joy, and it's also the thief of confidence. When you compare yourself to others, you're essentially telling yourself that your value is based on someone else's success, appearance, or achievements. But your worth is not tied to anyone else. You are unique, with your own strengths, talents, and path. Comparing yourself to others only diminishes your own confidence and steals your focus. Instead of comparing, focus on your own journey, your own growth, and your own progress. Celebrate your wins, no matter how small they may seem, and keep moving forward with your own vision in mind. Confidence is a practice. It's something you develop over time by challenging yourself, embracing failure, affirming your worth, and recognizing your strengths.
It's about shifting your mindset from one of self-doubt to one of self-assurance, from relying on external validation to building a foundation of internal belief. By cultivating this internal validation system, you will create an unshakable confidence that doesn't depend on anyone else's approval. And when you have that internal confidence, nothing can stop you from achieving your goals and becoming the person you're meant to be. Chapter 6. Building your internal validation system. We often look outside ourselves for the validation we crave. We seek approval from friends, family, co-workers, and even strangers. We think that if we can just hear the words we long for, "You're doing great," "You're talented," "You're enough," then we'll finally feel the sense of worth and confidence we desire. The truth is, no amount of external praise can make us feel truly validated unless we first learn how to validate ourselves. When we rely on others for validation, we give away our power. We let someone else's opinions shape how we feel about ourselves. If they're pleased with us, we feel good. If they're critical or indifferent, our self-worth takes a hit. It's a constant roller coaster, and the highs are often fleeting, while the lows feel crushing. But true inner confidence isn't built on external sources. It comes from learning to validate ourselves from the inside out. Self-validation means giving yourself permission to believe in your own worth, regardless of what others think or say. It's recognizing your value, your abilities, and your potential without waiting for someone else to tell you that you are worthy. When you learn to validate yourself, you create a solid foundation of self-respect and confidence that no one can take away. Building an internal validation system is about shifting your mindset and recognizing that you don't need anyone else's approval to know that you are enough. It's about developing a deep sense of self-awareness and self-compassion, and it starts with understanding that you are worthy simply because you exist. It's not about being perfect, and it's certainly not about meeting someone else's expectations. It's about embracing who you are, flaws and all, and giving yourself credit for the progress you make every day. A good first step in developing your own validation system is to start practicing self-compassion. We are often our harshest critics, focusing on our mistakes and shortcomings rather than acknowledging our strengths and successes. If you've ever made a mistake and beat yourself up over it, you know how easy it is to fall into a cycle of self-doubt and self-criticism. But self-compassion asks you to treat yourself with the same kindness and understanding that you would offer a friend. When you make a mistake, instead of berating yourself, remind yourself that you are human, and all humans make mistakes. Mistakes don't define you, they are simply opportunities for growth and learning. When you practice self-compassion, you create space for yourself to fail, learn and keep moving forward without the burden of self-judgment. This practice not only helps you feel better about yourself, but it also builds your resilience, making it easier to bounce back from setbacks. Another powerful tool for building internal validation is self-reflection. Each day, take a moment to reflect on your actions, thoughts and feelings. Ask yourself, what did I do well today? What challenges did I face, and how did I handle them? This practice helps you become more aware of your strengths and the progress you're making, no matter how small it may seem. Instead of focusing on what you didn't do or where you fell short, reflect on what you did right. Celebrate those moments and acknowledge the growth that's happening inside you. You might also find it helpful to keep a journal where you write down your achievements, both big and small. This can be a great way to track your progress and remind yourself of all the things you've accomplished. On days when you feel down or uncertain, look back at your journal, Reading through your successes will help you realize just how far you've come, and it will give you the motivation to keep going. Over time, you'll begin to see a pattern of growth and resilience, and that will reinforce your belief in your own abilities. One of the most important aspects of self-validation is learning to trust yourself. When we seek validation from others, we're essentially saying that we don't trust our own judgment. We're looking outside ourselves for approval because we're unsure of our own decisions. But when you develop self-validation, you learn to trust that you are capable of making good decisions, that you are wise enough to handle whatever comes your way. This doesn't mean you'll always make the right choices, but it does mean that you'll trust yourself enough to take action and learn from your mistakes along the way. Trusting yourself also means being honest with yourself. If you've made a mistake or fallen short of your own expectations, acknowledge it without shame or guilt. Instead of denying or hiding from your mistakes, own them. Recognizing and accepting your flaws is a key step in building internal validation. It's not about being perfect, it's about being real. When you stop pretending to be someone you're not, you free yourself from the need for validation from others. Learning to validate yourself also involves celebrating your successes, both big and small. Often we focus so much on what we still need to do or what we've yet to achieve that we forget to acknowledge the progress we've already made. Every step forward, no matter how small, is worth celebrating. Whether it's finishing a difficult project, overcoming a personal challenge, or simply getting through a tough day, give yourself credit for the effort you put in. This practice not only boosts your confidence, but also reinforces the belief that you are capable and deserving of success. Sometimes the most important validation comes from within. It's the quiet acknowledgement that you are enough, just as you are. When you learn to validate yourself, you free yourself from the constant need for approval from others. You become less reliant on outside praise and more focused on your own growth and progress. This shift in mindset is transformative because it puts you in control of your self-worth. It's important to remember that self-validation doesn't mean becoming arrogant or self-centered. It's not about thinking you're better than others or seeking constant praise. Rather, it's about recognizing your own worth and acknowledging the value you bring to the world. It's about standing tall in your own truth and knowing that you don't need anyone else's permission to feel good about who you are. When you start validating yourself, you begin to see the world differently. You no longer depend on the opinions of others to define who you are. Instead, you become the authority on your own life. You know what you're capable of, and you trust yourself to make the right decisions. You stop seeking approval and start seeking growth. And in doing so, you create a foundation of confidence and self-worth that will carry you through any challenge life throws your way. By building a system of self-validation, you become more resilient, more confident, and more capable of facing life's challenges with grace. You'll find that you're less affected by the opinions of others and more focused on your own growth and progress. With each step you take toward validating yourself, you strengthen the foundation of your self-belief, and that foundation will support you through whatever comes next.
Chapter 7. Body Language Hacks for Instant Confidence. How we carry ourselves can have a profound impact on how we feel and how others perceive us. It's easy to think that our emotions and mindset are solely shaped by our internal thoughts, but the way we present ourselves to the world through our body language also plays a crucial role in shaping our experience. In fact, the simple act of adjusting your posture or your facial expression can influence not only how others view you, but also how you view yourself. Body language is an incredibly powerful tool, one that can be used to project confidence, gain trust, and even shift our own mindset in moments when we need it most. It's something we all have access to, yet so few of us take full advantage of it. The good news is that it's not complicated. You don't need years of training or professional expertise to master the art of body language. With just a few simple adjustments, you can start to feel more confident, more in control, and more empowered in your day-to-day life. Think about the last time you were in a room full of people. What did your body language say about you? If you were slouched in your chair, arms crossed, avoiding eye contact, you probably felt small, insecure, or even invisible. On the other hand, if you stood tall, shoulders back, and made eye contact, you likely felt more assertive, capable, and ready to take on the world. These subtle shifts in posture and demeanor can have a major effect on how we feel about ourselves and how others react to us. It's like the body is sending a signal to the mind, telling it how to feel. The good news is that we have the power to control that signal. If you want to feel more confident in any situation, you can begin by simply adjusting your posture. Stand or sit up straight. Keep your shoulders back, your head held high. This small change can instantly make you feel more grounded, more present, and more powerful. It's an easy and effective way to boost your confidence without needing any external validation. By making these subtle adjustments to your body language, you begin to signal to your mind that you are confident and capable. And when your mind believes that, your actions will follow. Body language isn't just about posture, it's also about the way you use your hands and face. When you cross your arms or keep your hands hidden, it can signal to others that you're closed off or defensive. On the flip side, when you open up your body language by keeping your arms uncrossed, gesturing with your hands as you speak, and smiling, people are more likely to see you as approachable, open and confident. And you'll likely start to feel more confident too. The key is to become aware of how you're holding your body and making small adjustments that make you feel more open and assertive. This doesn't mean you need to adopt an overly dramatic or forced posture. It's about finding a natural, relaxed way to present yourself that exudes confidence and ease. The face is another area where body language can make a big difference. When we're feeling insecure or uncertain, we tend to make ourselves smaller. Our eyes may dart around, we avoid eye contact, or we look down at the ground. These subtle signals can convey to others that we lack confidence or are unsure of ourselves. But when we maintain eye contact, smile and hold our head high, we project a sense of assurance and trustworthiness. A simple smile can make a world of difference, not only in how others perceive you but also in how you feel about yourself. Smiling sends a message to your brain that you are happy, relaxed and confident, even if you don't fully feel that way yet. It's one of the easiest ways to boost your mood and create a sense of confidence, and it's something you can do in any situation. Now, think about how these changes in body language can be applied to everyday situations. If you're walking into a meeting or a social event where you may feel nervous, try to focus on how you're holding your body. Stand tall, take slow, deliberate steps, and make eye contact with the people around you. By doing this, you immediately shift your mindset from one of self-doubt to one of self-assurance. You might still feel a little nervous on the inside, but your body language will tell a different story. And over time, you'll notice that when you hold yourself in a confident manner, your feelings of nervousness tend to fade. It's also worth mentioning that body language isn't just for external interactions. It can affect how we feel about ourselves internally. When you change your posture, you change how your mind and body interact. When you adopt a posture of confidence, you send a message to your brain that you are capable, that you are in control. Even when you're feeling unsure, If you stand or sit in a way that exudes confidence, you begin to feel more in control of the situation. It's a simple yet powerful shift that can have a significant impact on your mindset and emotional state. One of the most well-known techniques for using body language to improve confidence is known as the power pose. The concept behind this idea is that adopting expansive, open body postures, like standing with your feet shoulder-width apart, your hands on your hips, and your chest lifted, can actually boost your confidence levels and make you feel more powerful. Studies have shown that power poses can increase levels of testosterone, the hormone associated with dominance and power, and decrease levels of cortisol, the stress hormone, making you feel more confident and less anxious. While this might sound like a small change, it has been shown to influence how we feel in a major way. By taking a moment to assume a power pose before a big presentation or stressful situation, you can prepare yourself mentally and physically to tackle whatever comes your way. Another way to use body language to your advantage is through mirroring. Mirroring is the act of subtly mimicking the body language of the person you're interacting with. This creates a sense of connection and rapport, making the other person feel more comfortable and understood. In turn, this can make you feel more confident in the interaction. The key here is to mirror the other person's movements and gestures in a natural, relaxed way. For example, if they lean forward, you can lean forward slightly too. If they smile, you can smile in return. This simple technique helps create a sense of ease and mutual respect, and it's a powerful way to build confidence in social interactions. Mastering body language is not about pretending to be someone you're not. It's about becoming more aware of how your body language reflects your internal state and making small adjustments to align that with the confidence you want to project. It's about knowing that you have the power to influence how you feel and how others perceive you simply by paying attention to the way you carry yourself. Confidence doesn't come from some external source, it comes from within, and one of the easiest ways to access that confidence is through your body. By adjusting your posture, making eye contact, smiling, and using open body language, you can immediately shift your mindset and project an image of self-assurance. Over time, these small changes will become second nature, and you'll begin to embody the confidence you once thought was out of reach. It's all about harnessing the power of your own body to create a more confident, more empowered version of yourself. Chapter 8. Mastering the art of incremental improvement. The path to improvement often feels daunting. There are big dreams to chase, ambitions that seem just out of reach, and goals that feel impossible to achieve. Yet, the reality is that progress doesn't always happen in giant leaps. In fact, it's often the small incremental steps we take every day that create the biggest shifts in our lives over time. This concept of incremental improvement is not just about making big changes once in a while. It's about focusing on small, consistent actions that add up over time. Instead of trying to transform yourself all at once, the key is to focus on one small improvement today. The next day, do the same. And over time, these small changes begin to compound, creating a momentum that propels you toward your larger goals. Imagine a large mountain. The idea of climbing it might seem overwhelming at first, but if you break it down into smaller, manageable steps, one foot in front of the other, you'll eventually find yourself at the summit. It's the same with self-improvement. When you focus on taking small actions consistently, you're building a foundation for growth that doesn't feel as intimidating as trying to change everything at once. The beauty of incremental improvement is that it's sustainable. Rather than attempting to make radical changes that are hard to maintain, small daily improvements are much more manageable. Whether it's reading a chapter of a book each day, committing to a 10-minute walk, or making small tweaks to your daily routine, these actions don't require massive effort,
but their cumulative effect over time is profound. One of the most powerful elements of this approach is that it works regardless of where you start. If you're just beginning your journey of self-improvement, you don't have to make big dramatic changes right away. Start with small, consistent actions. Focus on one aspect of your life, improve it slightly each day, and watch how it grows. Whether that's enhancing your physical health, boosting your mental clarity, or fostering stronger relationships, every tiny action contributes to the bigger picture. For example, say you want to improve your fitness, but are intimidated by the idea of hitting the gym for an hour every day. Instead of trying to jump into an intense fitness routine, start with just 5 minutes of stretching or a short walk each day. You're not aiming to see massive results overnight, but the key is to show up every single day. Over time, those 5 minutes will turn into 10, then 20, and before you know it, your consistency will build a routine that becomes second nature. Small improvements are not just for tangible goals like fitness or career success. They can also work wonders in your mindset and mental health. For example, you can begin by practicing gratitude each day. Instead of focusing on the negative, start with the small act of writing down one thing you're thankful for. At first this might feel forced, but with consistency, your brain will begin to recognize more positive things, shifting your overall mindset. Day by day, you'll find yourself more optimistic and better equipped to handle challenges. What makes incremental improvement so powerful is that it fosters a sense of progress. It can be easy to get discouraged when you don't see instant results. You might work for days, weeks, or even months, and not feel like you've made a significant dent in your goals. But when you look back at how far you've come, you'll realize that every small effort has added up to something much bigger. That feeling of steady progress is what keeps you going when the road ahead seems long. This principle of improvement also helps avoid burnout. We've all been guilty of setting ambitious goals that we expect to achieve overnight. But when we don't see results quickly, we often lose motivation and give up. By focusing on small, sustainable improvements, you set yourself up for long-term success. It's about setting yourself up for daily wins rather than waiting for a big win that might take months to materialize. With this mindset, every small victory becomes something worth celebrating. An important aspect of this process is learning to measure your progress, not by how far you have to go, but by how far you've come. Progress isn't always linear, and some days will be harder than others. But if you're committed to showing up every day, even when it's difficult, you'll find that incremental improvements will lead to consistent growth. Tracking your progress helps you stay motivated and focused on the long-term outcome, instead of getting bogged down by short-term setbacks. A useful tool for tracking progress is the idea of setting micro goals. These are the tiny, manageable goals you can achieve each day or week that move you closer to your larger goal. For example, if you're working toward writing a book, your micro goal might be to write 200 words a day. If you're aiming for better health, it could be adding one more healthy meal to your week or drinking an extra glass of water each day. The key is that these goals are achievable, realistic, and small enough that they don't overwhelm you. The beauty of micro goals is that they give you the flexibility to stay consistent while also making room for real-life circumstances. Life isn't always perfect, and you may not always have the time or energy to accomplish everything you planned. But when your goals are small and realistic, it's easier to pick yourself back up after a tough day and continue moving forward. It removes the pressure of needing to be perfect every time, and instead, it encourages progress without guilt. What's more, the practice of small improvements is not just about what you can achieve, but how it changes you as a person. When you commit to incremental improvement, you develop the habit of perseverance. You learn to show up every day, even when you don't feel like it. Over time, this mindset of steady progress becomes part of your identity. Instead of seeing yourself as someone who struggles to stay motivated or achieves goals only occasionally, you become someone who is consistently improving, no matter how small the steps may be. When you commit to the process of incremental improvement, you also become more adaptable. Life will always present challenges and obstacles, but by focusing on small, manageable steps, you become better equipped to navigate those challenges. You learn to adjust your goals, adapt your strategies, and keep moving forward, even when the path isn't straight. With each day, you gain more resilience and confidence in your ability to handle whatever comes your way. It's not the huge breakthroughs or dramatic moments that lead to lasting success. It's the small, consistent actions that compound over time. Whether it's a tiny improvement in your physical health, a slight shift in your mindset, or a small step toward your larger goal, those little efforts are what create the big changes you desire. By embracing the idea of incremental improvement, you set yourself up for long-term success, allowing you to achieve the things you once thought were impossible. Each day becomes an opportunity to grow, to improve, and to get better, step by step.
Chapter 9. The Science Behind Habit Formation. Habits are the invisible forces that shape our lives. They operate beneath the surface, often unnoticed, yet they have a profound impact on our daily routines, choices, and long-term outcomes. If you want to change your life, you first need to understand how habits work and learn how to harness their power for your benefit. It's not about making huge, life-altering changes overnight. It's about intentionally building habits that support the person you want to become. Habits, at their core, are behaviors that become automatic over time. Think about the things you do every day without even thinking about them. Brushing your teeth, checking your phone, drinking a cup of coffee in the morning. These actions, though simple, are deeply ingrained in your daily routine. They don't require much thought or willpower because they've become part of who you are. This is the power of habits. They shape your identity and guide your actions, often without you even realizing it. The process of habit formation is remarkably simple, but it's easy to overlook. The brain forms habits in response to repeated behaviors. The more you repeat an action, the more automatic it becomes. Over time, your brain begins to associate certain cues with specific actions, which is why, for example, you might automatically reach for your phone when you wake up in the morning, or feel compelled to check your email throughout the day. These actions are so embedded in your routine that they require very little conscious effort. But not all habits are created equal. Some serve you well, helping you grow and improve, while others can keep you stuck, limiting your potential. The key to mastering habits lies in recognizing which ones are working for you and which ones are working against you. This awareness is the first step in taking control of your habits and transforming them into positive, life-changing routines. A powerful way to start building positive habits is to begin small. Trying to change everything at once can be overwhelming and counterproductive. Instead, focus on one habit at a time. Choose something simple, something that feels achievable, and commit to doing it every day. It might be something like drinking a glass of water first thing in the morning, journaling for 5 minutes before bed, or spending 10 minutes each day reading a book. The key is to pick a habit that's small enough to stick with, but impactful enough to make a difference in your life. As you begin to build these small habits, it's important to track your progress. Monitoring your habits helps keep you accountable and allows you to see the improvements you're making, even if they seem small at first. Use a habit tracker or a journal to mark off each day you successfully complete your habit. This simple act of tracking can be incredibly motivating and reinforce the behavior, making it easier to continue. One of the most common reasons people fail to stick with new habits is because they try to do too much, too soon. It's easy to get excited about self-improvement and think that in order to succeed, you need to make huge changes. But the truth is, small, consistent actions are far more effective than drastic, short-term efforts. When you focus on building one small habit at a time, you allow your brain to adapt and create new neural pathways. Over time, these small habits will compound, leading to big changes in your life. Another critical aspect of habit formation is consistency. It's not enough to simply do something once or twice and expect it to stick. For a habit to truly take root, you need to repeat it consistently over time. Studies show that it takes, on average, around 66 days for a new behavior to become automatic. This means that in the beginning, it may feel awkward or forced, but if you stick with it, it will eventually become second nature. The key is to stay committed, even when it feels challenging or when progress seems slow. The environment you create for yourself also plays a significant role in habit formation. Our surroundings have a huge influence on our behaviors, often in ways we don't even realize. If you want to make a positive habit easier to stick with, set up your environment to support that behavior. For example, if you want to eat healthier, keep healthy snacks readily available and remove temptations from your kitchen. If you want to exercise in the morning, lay out your workout clothes the night before so you're ready to go. The more you make your environment work for you, the easier it will be to form and maintain your desired habits. As you start to build new habits, it's also important to be patient with yourself. The process of habit formation is not always linear. Some days you might miss a habit or struggle to stay consistent. This is normal. What matters is that you don't give up. It's about progress, not perfection. When you slip up, don't beat yourself up. Instead, reflect on what happened and use it as an opportunity to learn and adjust. Remember, the goal is to keep going, even when things don't go perfectly. The more you practice, the easier it will get. One of the most powerful ways to reinforce a habit is by pairing it with something you already do. This technique is called habit stacking. For example, if you already have a habit of making coffee every morning, you can stack a new habit on top of it. Maybe you decide that while your coffee is brewing, you'll spend 5 minutes doing a quick stretch or reading an inspirational quote. By linking a new habit with an existing one, you create a natural trigger that makes it easier to remember and follow through. Over time, as you build more habits and reinforce the ones you've already established, you'll start to notice significant changes in your life. These small daily actions may seem insignificant in the moment, but when compounded over time, they can lead to massive transformation. You'll begin to see improvements in your health, productivity, mindset, and relationships, sometimes in ways you didn't even anticipate. The secret to long-term success lies in these consistent, incremental actions. The beauty of habits is that they give you the power to create the life you want without having to rely on willpower alone. Willpower is limited, but habits are automatic. Once you establish a routine, you no longer need to force yourself to take action. The behavior becomes ingrained in your daily life. This is why it's so important to focus on building positive habits that align with your goals and values. When you make progress every day, even in small ways, you create a life that reflects who you want to become. Ultimately,
Habits are the building blocks of transformation. They are the small, everyday actions that shape your future. When you master the art of habit formation, you unlock the ability to make lasting changes in any area of your life. Whether you want to improve your health, grow in your career, or cultivate a stronger mindset, it all starts with the habits you create today. So take a moment to reflect on the habits that are currently driving your life. Are they serving you? Are they taking you closer to where you want to be? If not, it's time to start small, stay consistent, and build the habits that will take you to the next level. Chapter 10: Micro Goals for Macro Success. The idea of achieving massive success can often feel daunting, even paralyzing. The vision of where you want to go might seem so far out of reach that it's hard to even begin. But here's the truth: big goals aren't achieved by making huge leaps. They're built step by step, small success after small success. This is where micro goals come in. The concept of micro goals is all about breaking down a large goal into smaller, manageable pieces. Instead of focusing on the overwhelming idea of a big accomplishment, you start with tiny, specific actions that feel doable in the present moment. These small goals are easier to accomplish, and every time you check one off, it gives you momentum to tackle the next one. When you break your big dreams into smaller goals, the road ahead becomes much clearer. You no longer have to think about the entire mountain, you just need to focus on the next step. This approach makes the journey feel less intimidating and far more achievable. It also helps you build a pattern of success. Each micro goal you accomplish not only brings you closer to your larger goal, but also boosts your confidence and reinforces the belief that you are capable of making progress. Think of it like this: climbing a mountain is a huge challenge. But if you break the climb down into manageable sections, say reaching the next ledge, then the next one, then the next, the climb suddenly feels a lot less overwhelming. You can always see the next step, and that gives you the motivation to keep moving. The same principle applies to any goal you have. Instead of focusing solely on the end result, shift your attention to what's right in front of you and take it one step at a time. Micro goals also help you avoid the trap of perfectionism. Perfectionism often leads to paralysis, where you're so focused on getting things exactly right that you end up doing nothing at all. With micro goals, the emphasis is on progress, not perfection. By setting small, manageable goals, you're giving yourself the space to make mistakes and learn along the way. You're not trying to do everything perfectly. You're simply moving forward, one small victory at a time. The power of micro goals lies in their ability to build momentum. This is something that athletes, performers, and successful people across all fields know very well. Success doesn't come from one big breakthrough moment. It's the result of consistent small actions taken over time. It's the cumulative effect of many tiny steps that lead to massive growth. By starting with small, achievable goals, you start to build momentum. And momentum, as we know, is incredibly powerful. Once you've got a little bit of progress under your belt, it becomes easier and easier to keep going. For example, let's say your larger goal is to write a book. That's a massive undertaking, and it can be easy to get discouraged when you think about the magnitude of the task. But if you break it down into micro goals, it suddenly feels a lot more manageable. Maybe the first micro goal is to write 100 words a day. Then, once you've accomplished that, you might make your next goal 200 words. As you build this habit and achieve these small victories, the task of writing a book doesn't seem so overwhelming anymore. You've gained momentum, and you'll likely find that you're writing more and more without even thinking about it. Micro goals can also be incredibly useful when it comes to tracking progress. It's easy to lose sight of your progress when you're only focused on the big picture. But when you break things down into smaller pieces, you have tangible evidence of your progress every step of the way. These little wins give you something to celebrate, no matter how small, and that celebration helps fuel your motivation to keep going. Tracking micro goals doesn't have to be complicated. You can keep it as simple as using a checklist, a journal, or an app to mark off each goal as you achieve it. What's important is that you're keeping track of your progress, not just waiting for the final destination. By doing so, you give yourself the opportunity to celebrate small victories, which reinforces your positive behaviors and keeps you moving forward. But there's another important aspect to micro goals that you can't overlook: consistency. The key to achieving anything, no matter how small, is doing it consistently. Micro goals, by their nature, promote consistency because they're designed to be achievable on a daily basis. They fit into your life without demanding huge amounts of time or energy. By doing something consistently, you start to build a rhythm, and that rhythm helps you get closer to your larger goal. The beauty of micro goals is that they allow you to create a structure of success that fits into your existing routine. You don't need to find hours of free time each day to work toward your goal. You can create micro goals that take just a few minutes of your day, which means you don't have to make major sacrifices to stay on track. This is incredibly empowering because it removes the excuse of not having enough time. Instead of seeing the goal as something that's going to require drastic changes, you start to see it as something that can fit naturally into your life. To make micro goals work for you, it's important to stay flexible. Life doesn't always go according to plan, and sometimes you'll face obstacles that make it harder to stay on track. But that's okay. Micro goals are meant to be adaptable. If you miss a day or fall behind, don't be discouraged. The important thing is to get back on track and keep moving forward. Remember, the goal is progress, not perfection. Another thing to keep in mind when setting micro goals is to make sure they align with your larger vision. It's easy to get caught up in the small stuff and lose sight of the bigger picture. But every micro goal you set should be a stepping stone toward your larger goal. Each micro goal should get you one step closer to the person you want to become and the life you want to create. As you work through your micro goal, remember that the process is just as important as the result. The habits you build, the consistency you develop, and the progress you make every day are all part of the journey. Don't be solely focused on the outcome. Appreciate the growth that happens along the way. Celebrate your small victories, because they add up. Every little step you take brings you closer to the person you're meant to be. The beauty of micro goals is that they allow you to create lasting change without overwhelming yourself. They take the weight of the big goal off your shoulders and allow you to focus on what's possible right now. And as you achieve each small, you build the confidence and momentum to tackle even bigger challenges. So take your big dreams and break them down into manageable bite-sized pieces. Start with one small, take action, and keep going. Over time, those tiny goals will add up to something incredible, and before you know it, you'll have transformed your life, one micro goal at a time.
Chapter 11. Tracking progress for greater momentum. The journey toward personal growth and achieving your goals can feel like an uphill battle, especially when progress seems slow or hard to track. It's easy to become discouraged when you can't see the tangible results of your efforts. That's why tracking progress is so essential. When you track your progress, you begin to see just how far you've come, even on the tough days. The simple act of keeping track can be a game changer. It not only reinforces the effort you've put in, but it also provides a sense of accomplishment, motivation, and clarity. It shifts your focus away from what you haven't done to what you have done, and that shift in perspective is powerful. It's human nature to want immediate results. We live in a world that offers instant gratification, and it's easy to become impatient when things aren't happening as quickly as we'd like. But growth, especially meaningful and sustainable growth, takes time. By tracking your progress, you're creating a visual reminder that even small steps count. It helps you stay grounded and connected to the process, rather than becoming obsessed with the destination. Think about the last time you set a goal, whether it was to get fitter, learn something new, or accomplish a career milestone. It probably seemed overwhelming at first. But as you broke the task into smaller, more manageable steps, you started to feel a sense of accomplishment with each small win. Tracking that progress is like taking a moment to appreciate how far you've come. Tracking progress doesn't just help you measure how much closer you are to your goal, it also serves as a source of motivation. When you can physically see the strides you're making, it becomes easier to keep moving forward, even when the finish line still feels far away. A day when you check off a task is a victory, no matter how small. If you've been chipping away at a long-term goal for weeks or months, you might not see the results immediately. But when you have a system in place to track what you've done, you'll notice how much you've actually accomplished over time. Tracking progress can be as simple as writing things down. Whether you use a journal, an app, or a checklist, the act of recording your daily efforts creates accountability. It provides structure in your routine and makes it easier to see patterns. Maybe you've been consistent for weeks but missed one day. When you track, you'll know that one day doesn't undo the work you've done up until that point. You can get back on track without feeling like you've failed. The simple act of marking things down reinforces the idea that you're moving in the right direction, even on days when it feels like nothing is happening. One of the best ways to track progress is by setting benchmarks. These are smaller goals that are measurable and achievable within a certain period of time. For example, if your goal is to write a book, a benchmark could be to write 500 words a day for the next 2 weeks. Once you've reached that, you can set another benchmark, such as writing 1,000 words a day, or maybe finishing a chapter. These checkpoints allow you to see where you are in relation to your larger goal. Each one brings you closer to the finish line, and seeing these small victories will keep you engaged and motivated. Another powerful tool for tracking progress is reflecting on your journey. At the end of each week or month, take a moment to look back at what you've accomplished. This isn't about self-criticism or comparing yourself to others. It's about recognizing the effort you've put in, the challenges you've faced, and the lessons you've learned along the way. Reflecting helps you acknowledge your growth and reinforces the idea that every step counts, no matter how small it may seem. Tracking progress also gives you the ability to adjust your approach if something isn't working. For example, if you're working toward a fitness goal and you notice that your energy levels are consistently low or you're not seeing the progress you expect, tracking can help you pinpoint areas for improvement. Perhaps your diet or sleep schedule needs adjustment, or maybe your workouts need to be more varied. Without tracking, it's easy to fall into the trap of doing the same things over and over, without noticing what isn't working. But when you track, you gain insights that help you adjust and fine-tune your strategy. This keeps you moving forward, even if you need to make changes along the way. It's also important to track not just your output, but how you feel throughout the process. Personal growth isn't just about checking off tasks or meeting external milestones. It's about how you evolve as a person. Do you feel more confident? Are you handling setbacks better than before? Are you more patient with yourself and others? These intangible measures of progress are just as important as the tangible ones, and tracking your emotional and mental growth helps you appreciate the full scope of your transformation. Celebrating your progress is equally important. Acknowledging the small wins, even when they seem insignificant, builds momentum. If you've made a commitment to drink more water every day, for example, and you've done it consistently for a week, that's worth celebrating. You've successfully created a new habit. When you take time to celebrate, you reinforce positive behavior and remind yourself that progress is worth recognizing. These moments of celebration can be as simple as patting yourself on the back, taking a break, or rewarding yourself with something you enjoy. Tracking progress also helps you develop resilience. When you face challenges or obstacles, it's easy to become discouraged and question whether your efforts are worthwhile. But if you've been tracking your progress all along, you'll have concrete evidence that you've made significant strides. You'll remember that you've overcome obstacles before, and you'll be able to remind yourself of the progress you've already made. This reminder gives you the strength to keep going, even when things feel difficult. In addition to tracking your progress, it's crucial to recognize the importance of consistency. It's not enough to check things off once in a while and expect big results. Real progress comes from showing up every day, even when you don't feel like it. Consistency, over time, builds discipline. It strengthens your work ethic and teaches you how to keep going, even when the results aren't immediate. When you track your progress consistently, you create a habit that becomes second nature. It's no longer about waiting for motivation to strike. You're simply doing the work because it's part of who you are. Tracking progress is a powerful tool for staying focused on your goals. It shifts your mindset from a place of frustration and doubt to one of clarity and determination. It reminds you that every step you take, no matter how small, is a step closer to where you want to be. It gives you the confidence to keep moving forward, even on the days when progress feels slow or invisible. By tracking your progress, you're setting yourself up for long-term success. You're creating a system that allows you to monitor your growth, adjust your approach when needed, and celebrate your victories along the way. It's a simple yet effective strategy that ensures you stay on the path to your goals, even when obstacles arise. So start tracking your progress today. Keep a record of your wins, big and small, and remember that every step you take is a part of the larger journey. Over time, those small steps will add up to something truly remarkable. Chapter 12. Adapting to change, not resisting it. Change is inevitable. It's not something you can control, nor should you try to fight it. It comes in many forms, some expected, some completely out of the blue, but the one thing all change has in common is that it can feel like a disruption. When things change, especially when they shift the status quo, it's easy to panic. We've all felt the discomfort that comes with it. Yet rather than resisting change, it's essential to learn how to adapt to it. When you learn to adapt, you gain the ability to thrive, no matter what life throws your way. And this ability to adapt is often the difference between success and stagnation. The truth is, we're creatures of habit. We like routine, we like knowing what to expect. But life doesn't always go according to plan. We experience personal setbacks, shifts in the workplace, changes in relationships, or even larger societal changes. These moments can disrupt everything we thought we knew, and it's easy to fall into the trap of resisting what's new or unfamiliar. Resistance, however, only creates more stress. It leaves us stuck, clinging to the past, and preventing us from moving forward. Instead of fighting change, we must learn to accept it, understand it, and harness it to our advantage. Adaptability is the key. Think about the times in your life when you've had to adjust. Maybe it was a move to a new city, or starting a new job. Perhaps it was something as simple as learning a new skill. At first it was uncomfortable, right?
You didn't know the ropes, you felt uncertain, and maybe you even doubted yourself. But as time passed, you grew accustomed to the new environment. You figured things out. You adjusted your mindset, took things step by step, and eventually you thrived in that new situation. That process of adjustment is something we can all learn to embrace. Adapting to change doesn't happen overnight. It requires patience, resilience, and a willingness to step outside of your comfort zone. But once you understand how to approach change with an open mind, it becomes a powerful tool for growth. The first step in adapting to change is letting go of the need for certainty. We often find comfort in knowing what's coming next, but in reality, we can never have complete certainty about the future. When we hold on too tightly to what we know, we prevent ourselves from discovering new opportunities. We limit ourselves to a narrow view of what's possible. Instead of trying to predict the future or control every outcome, we must learn to live with the uncertainty and embrace the unknown. It's through this acceptance that we create space for new experiences and personal growth. Another important aspect of adapting is flexibility. When you face a challenge or a change that feels overwhelming, the first instinct might be to rigidly stick to your plan. However, being too set in your ways often creates frustration when things don't go as expected. Flexibility is the ability to pivot when necessary. It's about being willing to adjust your course and try new things when the old ones no longer serve you. Instead of seeing change as an obstacle, view it as an opportunity to learn and grow. Sometimes the new path will lead you to a destination that's even better than the one you originally envisioned. This kind of flexibility doesn't mean abandoning your goals or losing sight of your purpose. It's about being adaptable in how you get there. The goal remains the same, but the path you take to get there might change, and that's okay. In fact, it's often necessary. Life is full of unexpected twists and turns, and being flexible allows you to navigate those changes without losing momentum. It's also crucial to recognize that change is often accompanied by a period of discomfort. When something shifts in your life, it's natural to feel uneasy. You might question whether you're capable of handling the change or fear that you won't be able to adapt. This discomfort is part of the process. It's a signal that you're stepping outside of your comfort zone, and that's where real growth happens. The discomfort doesn't last forever. In fact, the more you expose yourself to change and allow yourself to adapt, the easier it becomes. Over time you develop resilience, the ability to bounce back from adversity and continue moving forward despite the challenges. Resilience is built through experience. The more you face change head-on and adapt to it, the stronger your ability to cope with future challenges becomes. Each time you navigate a difficult situation, you learn something new about yourself and your ability to handle adversity. These experiences build your confidence and help you realize that, no matter what comes your way, you can handle it. Life may not always go according to plan, but you've shown that you have the strength and flexibility to adapt and thrive. The key to adapting to change is maintaining a positive mindset. It's easy to get discouraged when things don't go as planned or when the future feels uncertain. But instead of focusing on the negative aspects of change, focus on what you can control and the potential opportunities that lie ahead. Change often brings with it new opportunities, whether they're personal, professional, or relational. By staying open-minded and focusing on the possibilities, you set yourself up for success even in the midst of change. One way to develop this positive mindset is through gratitude. When things change, it's easy to feel a sense of loss, especially if you're letting go of something familiar. But by focusing on what you still have and what you've gained from the experience, you can shift your perspective. Gratitude helps you reframe the situation in a more positive light, making it easier to accept and adapt to the changes you're facing. When you practice gratitude, you remind yourself that change doesn't take away from your life. It adds new layers and dimensions that can enrich your experience. Along with gratitude, it's important to practice mindfulness. In moments of change, it's easy to become overwhelmed by the what-ifs and the unknowns. Mindfulness helps you stay present, focusing on what's happening right now, rather than worrying about the future. It allows you to approach change with a sense of calm and clarity, rather than anxiety. When you're mindful, you can make better decisions, navigate challenges with a clear mind, and respond to change in a way that serves your well-being. Another powerful tool for adapting to change is seeking support. Change can be isolating, especially when you're trying to navigate it alone. Whether you're dealing with a personal loss, a career shift, or a major life transition, having a support system can make a world of difference. Surrounding yourself with people who encourage and uplift you helps you stay grounded and focused during times of uncertainty. Support doesn't have to come from others, it can also come from within. Self-compassion, self-acceptance, and positive self-talk are all ways to support yourself during periods of change. The more you practice these habits, the easier it becomes to adapt to new circumstances. It's also important to recognize that change doesn't always have to be dramatic or disruptive. Sometimes, change can be subtle, a new perspective, a slight shift in behavior, or a small adjustment in how you approach a situation. These small changes can accumulate over time, leading to significant personal growth. Embrace even the little shifts, because they can create lasting transformations that propel you forward. Change isn't something to fear or resist. It's a natural part of life that provides the opportunities for personal development, growth, and new experiences. When you learn to embrace change, adapt to it, and use it to your advantage, you open yourself up to a world of possibilities. Life will always change, but your ability to adapt will determine how well you thrive in it. So instead of fighting change, learn to ride the wave. With each change you face, you'll become more resilient, more flexible, and better equipped to handle whatever comes your way. Adaptation is a skill that, once developed, will serve you for a lifetime.
Chapter 13. Developing agility in your mindset. The journey of growth is not always linear. Some days it feels like you're on top of the world, making strides toward becoming the best version of yourself. Other days it feels like you're stuck in place, as if no matter what you do, you can't move forward. These shifts in momentum are natural, but they don't define you. It's how you respond to them that shapes your journey. One of the most powerful things you can do when faced with challenges or moments of stagnation is to develop mental agility. This quality, more than any other, enables you to handle life's curveballs, learn from your mistakes, and stay on course even when things get tough. Mental agility is about being flexible in your thinking, able to quickly adapt to changing circumstances, and keeping your mind sharp in the face of adversity. To understand the importance of mental agility, think about how you handle setbacks. When something doesn't go as planned, it's easy to become frustrated, discouraged, or even angry. You may want to give up, or at the very least, feel sorry for yourself. But those who have developed mental agility understand that setbacks are not permanent obstacles. They are just temporary detours on the road to success. They approach challenges with curiosity, wondering what they can learn from the experience. They quickly assess the situation, adjust their approach, and move forward with renewed focus. This ability to bounce back after difficulties comes from a mindset that is rooted in resilience and adaptability. Mental agility allows you to stay open to new possibilities, even when your original plans don't work out. The key is to stop seeing mistakes as failures and instead view them as learning opportunities. Every time something doesn't go according to plan, you have the chance to refine your approach and discover a better way to move forward. This is how growth happens, not through avoiding mistakes, but through embracing them as part of the learning process. Flexibility in your thinking also means being open to new ideas. So often, we become set in our ways. We form beliefs, habits and routines, and they become so ingrained in our lives that we don't even consider other options. But this rigidity can hold us back. The ability to change your mind when presented with new information is a powerful skill. It allows you to grow, evolve, and stay on top of things, even as the world around you shifts. Whether you're learning a new skill, facing a difficult decision, or navigating a challenging situation, mental agility helps you process information quickly and make decisions that are in alignment with your long-term goals. The way we think about problems also plays a huge role in mental agility. When a problem arises, the first instinct might be to panic or overanalyze the situation. Our minds can spiral, focusing on worst-case scenarios or stressing over all the things that could go wrong. This is when mental agility becomes crucial. Rather than getting overwhelmed by the enormity of a problem, a mentally agile person takes a step back and looks at the situation from multiple angles. They break it down into smaller, more manageable pieces and consider different possible solutions. They know that no problem is insurmountable if approached with a clear mind and an open perspective. A great example of mental agility in action is how some athletes handle pressure during a big game. The stakes are high, the crowd is watching, and there's a lot on the line. But what sets successful athletes apart is their ability to stay calm under pressure. They don't panic when things aren't going well. Instead, they take a deep breath, adjust their strategy, and keep moving forward. This ability to recalibrate under stress is the essence of mental agility. This concept applies just as much to personal and professional challenges. Life often throws unexpected curveballs, unexpected changes at work, personal setbacks, or changes in relationships. Instead of resisting the change or feeling overwhelmed, a person with mental agility will see the situation for what it is, an opportunity to adapt and grow. They ask themselves, what can I learn from this, and how can I move forward in a way that aligns with my goals? To cultivate mental agility, you need to practice a few key strategies. One of the most effective ways to build this skill is by intentionally stepping out of your comfort zone. When you challenge yourself to try new things, you're forcing your mind to adjust and adapt. Whether it's learning a new skill, taking on a new responsibility, or even having a difficult conversation, the more you put yourself in situations that require you to think on your feet, the more agile your mind becomes. Over time, your brain becomes better at processing new information, evaluating situations, and making decisions quickly. This ability to adjust your mindset is a valuable tool that can help you navigate not just the challenges you face today, but the ones that will inevitably come tomorrow. Another crucial aspect of mental agility is self-reflection. Taking the time to reflect on your experiences, whether positive or negative, allows you to evaluate what worked, what didn't, and how you can do better next time. This process of self-evaluation helps you identify patterns in your thinking, behavior, and decision-making that may be holding you back. By becoming more aware of these patterns, you can begin to break free from old habits and develop new ways of thinking that are more aligned with your goals. Self-reflection helps you stay open to change and provides valuable insights that can fuel your growth. It's also important to recognize the role of emotional intelligence in mental agility. Emotions often drive our thoughts and actions, and if we're not careful, they can cloud our judgment. However, when you develop emotional intelligence, you become more adept at managing your emotions in a way that supports your growth. You learn how to stay calm in stressful situations, regulate your responses, and make decisions that are based on reason rather than emotional impulses. This emotional control allows you to think more clearly, process information more effectively, and make better decisions in times of uncertainty. Another powerful way to cultivate mental agility is through mindfulness. Mindfulness is the practice of being fully present in the moment, without judgment. It's about observing your thoughts and feelings without getting caught up in them. This practice helps you detach from your automatic reactions, giving you the space to choose how you want to respond. By practicing mindfulness, you become less reactive and more proactive. You're able to assess situations with a calm, focused mind and make decisions based on logic and long-term goals rather than knee-jerk reactions. The more you practice mindfulness, the more agile your mind becomes, as you're able to adjust your thinking and behavior in real time. At its core, mental agility is about embracing uncertainty and staying flexible in the face of change. The world is constantly evolving, and our ability to adapt is what will keep us moving forward. When you become mentally agile, you're not just reacting to life's challenges, you're actively engaging with them, learning from them, and using them to your advantage. This mindset allows you to stay grounded, focused, and resilient, no matter what life throws your way. By strengthening your mental agility, you're building the foundation for long-term success and fulfillment. Every challenge becomes an opportunity to learn and grow, and every setback is a chance to bounce back stronger than before. Chapter 14. Crafting your persuasive persona. We often think of persuasion as something reserved for the world of business, sales, or politics, but the truth is, it's an essential skill for navigating every part of our lives. Whether it's convincing a friend to join you for a workout, negotiating with a colleague, or even just explaining your point of view in a discussion, persuasion plays a key role in how we interact with others. The ability to persuade is not about manipulation or force, it's about understanding people, communicating your message clearly, and fostering trust. It's about connecting with others in a way that leads them to see your perspective or feel inspired to take action. When we think of persuasion, the first thing that often comes to mind is the use of clever arguments or even the art of rhetoric. While those can certainly be powerful, they aren't always the most effective tools when it comes to creating meaningful, lasting influence. The most persuasive people are those who don't rely on flashy words or dramatic gestures. They don't use pressure tactics or guilt trips. Instead, they focus on building rapport, demonstrating authenticity, and showing genuine care for others. This kind of persuasive influence is rooted in emotional intelligence and empathy. When you connect with someone on a deeper level, when you understand their needs, values, and desires, it becomes easier to guide them toward your desired outcome. Being persuasive starts with knowing yourself. The more comfortable and confident you are in your own beliefs, the more compelling you will be to others. If you don't believe in what you're saying, if you're unsure or hesitant, that energy will be palpable to the person you're communicating with. On the other hand, when you stand firm in your own convictions, your confidence naturally radiates. People are drawn to that certainty. But it's not just about knowing your own stance, it's also about understanding where the other person is coming from. Persuasion isn't about overpowering someone with your ideas, it's about engaging with them, listening to their concerns, and finding a way to align your message with their values and desires. One of the most effective ways to persuade others is through storytelling.
Humans are wired for stories. We connect with them on a deep emotional level. A well-told story can help others relate to your message in ways that facts and figures never could. A story allows people to see the world from your perspective, feel the emotions that you feel, and experience the journey alongside you. When you share a personal story or a story that aligns with the values of the person you're speaking to, it becomes far more persuasive than simply stating a fact or making an argument. People don't just remember the message, they remember how it made them feel, and emotions, not logic, drive action. Another powerful tool in persuasion is the ability to listen deeply. We often think of persuasion as speaking and presenting our ideas, but listening is just as important, if not more so. When you listen carefully to someone, you're not just hearing their words, you're understanding their needs, their desires and their pain points. You're showing them that you care enough to truly understand their perspective. This makes them far more likely to trust you and be open to your suggestions. When you show that you're truly listening, the other person feels valued, and this builds rapport, which is essential for any persuasive interaction. It's also important to remember that persuasion is not about convincing someone to do something that's against their will or values. True persuasion is about helping others see how your ideas align with their own goals. It's about showing them how what you're offering can benefit them in ways that resonate with their own desires. This means that persuasion isn't about getting your way at all costs. It's about creating win-win situations where both parties feel like they've gained something meaningful. Building trust is another cornerstone of effective persuasion. Trust doesn't happen overnight, and it's not something that can be manipulated or forced. It's built through consistent actions, honesty and integrity. People are far more likely to be persuaded by someone they trust because they know that the person has their best interests at heart. If you want to persuade others, you must first establish trust by being reliable, keeping your word, and acting with integrity in every interaction. Non-verbal communication also plays a huge role in persuasion. Our body language, facial expressions and tone of voice often communicate more than the words we speak. A warm smile, steady eye contact or an open posture can create an atmosphere of connection and trust. On the other hand, closed-off body language, such as crossed arms or avoiding eye contact, can signal to others that you're not fully engaged or approachable. Being aware of your non-verbal cues is crucial, because people pick up on these signals more than we realize. Your body language should align with your words, reinforcing your message and making you appear more authentic and trustworthy. There's also power in the way we ask questions. People are far more likely to be persuaded when they come to their own conclusions rather than being told what to do. By asking the right questions, you guide them to see the logic in your argument or to understand the benefits of your proposal without directly telling them. This method of persuasion allows them to feel like they have ownership over the decision, which makes them more committed to the outcome. It's not about telling someone what's best for them. It's about asking the questions that lead them to recognize what's best for themselves. A key element of persuasion is also understanding the psychology behind human behavior. People are naturally drawn to things that align with their values, beliefs, and emotions. The more you understand what motivates people, what makes them feel safe, what excites them, what their desires are, the better you can tailor your message to resonate with them. The more you can speak to their emotions, the more likely they are to be persuaded to take action. Whether it's appealing to their sense of security, excitement, or personal values, understanding human behavior can help you craft a message that speaks directly to their heart. The most persuasive people don't need to use force or manipulation to get their way. They use empathy, understanding, and clear communication to create genuine connections with others. They build trust over time, and they approach each situation with a mindset of collaboration and shared goals. Instead of focusing on persuading others to see things your way, you focus on seeing things from their perspective and aligning your ideas with their values. This creates an environment where both parties feel heard, understood, and valued, making persuasion not just a skill but a way to create meaningful, lasting relationships. By mastering this skill, you not only become more influential, but you also become a more thoughtful, compassionate communicator, someone who can inspire others to take action while respecting their needs and desires.
Chapter 15. Understanding and leveraging human behavior. Understanding human behavior is one of the most powerful tools we can use to build connections, influence decisions, and navigate our world. The way people think, feel, and react is influenced by a complex web of experiences, emotions, and instincts. By understanding the driving forces behind human behavior, you gain insight into how to communicate better, manage relationships more effectively, and align your actions with the natural tendencies of those around you. At the core of human behavior is the need for connection. From the moment we're born, we are wired to seek relationships and form bonds. This innate need for connection shapes our choices, our reactions, and the way we engage with others. Whether it's the desire to fit in with a group, build deep friendships, or simply feel heard and understood, the human experience is deeply social. Every action we take, from a simple smile to a more significant life decision, is often guided by our desire to be connected and validated by others. But connection doesn't happen by accident. It's something we must actively cultivate. The people who understand human behavior well are often the ones who can navigate relationships with ease. They know how to read the unspoken cues, body language, tone of voice, and the subtle hints in a person's eyes. These cues reveal much more than words alone can. A slight shift in posture, a pause before responding, or the tone in someone's voice can tell you if they're comfortable, anxious, or open to your ideas. Being able to pick up on these cues gives you an incredible advantage in how you communicate and connect with people. It allows you to approach conversations with more sensitivity and empathy, making others feel heard and valued. But connection doesn't just come from understanding others, it comes from understanding ourselves too. The more we understand our own behaviors, motivations, and triggers, the more effectively we can interact with others. It's easy to assume that our actions are always driven by logic, but the truth is that emotions play a significant role in shaping what we do. People often make decisions based on how they feel in the moment, even if they aren't fully aware of it. That's why it's essential to understand the emotional undercurrent of any interaction. If you can recognize when emotions are running high or when someone is feeling vulnerable, you can approach the situation with more care and consideration, which in turn helps foster a better connection. One of the most profound aspects of human behavior is the desire for autonomy. Everyone wants to feel like they're in control of their decisions and actions. This is why people often resist being told what to do. The moment someone feels like they're being forced into a decision or pushed into a corner, their natural instinct is to rebel. This doesn't mean that people don't appreciate guidance or help, but it does mean that when we give advice, we must do so in a way that allows the other person to feel like they have ownership of their choice. This is where persuasive communication plays a role. Instead of telling someone what to do, you can guide them to their own conclusions by asking insightful questions, framing ideas in a way that aligns with their values, and helping them see how your suggestions can benefit them personally. The fear of rejection is another powerful driver of human behavior. Deep down, most people have a fear of not being accepted, of being judged or ignored. This fear can influence how we present ourselves, how we interact with others, and how we make decisions. Understanding this fear gives you the ability to approach situations with more sensitivity. It helps you be aware of how your words and actions might affect others. When we are aware of this fear in ourselves and others, we can create environments where people feel safe, valued, and included. It's about making others feel comfortable enough to express themselves, knowing that their ideas and feelings will be respected. Another aspect of human behavior is the need for consistency. People like to feel consistent in their actions and beliefs. Once we commit to something, whether it's a belief, a habit, or a decision, we are more likely to stick with it. This is why once someone has agreed to a small request or action, they are more likely to agree to larger requests in the future. It's the principle of consistency at play. When you understand this, you can use it to your advantage in influencing decisions. For example, if you can get someone to make a small commitment, such as agreeing with a basic idea or signing up for a free trial, they are more likely to follow through with bigger commitments down the line. This principle is used by marketers, negotiators, and leaders all the time to gently guide people toward larger decisions. Understanding human behavior also means recognizing the power of emotional triggers. We all have specific emotions that drive our actions: fear, love, excitement, guilt, and pride, just to name a few. Certain situations can trigger these emotions, and understanding what triggers these feelings in people can help you communicate more effectively. For instance, if someone is feeling proud of their accomplishments, they are likely to respond positively to praise. Similarly, if someone is feeling insecure or anxious, they may be more responsive to reassurance or support. Recognizing these emotional triggers helps you approach each situation with more finesse and care, knowing what kind of emotional response you are likely to elicit. One of the most significant insights you can gain from understanding human behavior is the importance of trust. People are naturally inclined to trust those who are consistent, honest, and reliable. Trust isn't something that can be demanded. It must be earned over time through actions that align with words. When people trust you, they are more likely to listen to your suggestions, follow your lead, and engage in meaningful collaboration. Trust is built through small everyday actions, showing up when you say you will, being transparent and honest, and following through on your commitments. These actions build a foundation of trust that can have a profound impact on your relationships, both personally and professionally. Human behavior is often influenced by social norms and the actions of others. People are social creatures, and we tend to look to others to guide our decisions. This is why social proof, seeing others do something, can be such a powerful influence on behavior. When people see others engaging in a particular behavior or adopting a certain belief, they are more likely to follow suit. Understanding the power of social norms can help you shape behavior in a way that aligns with your goals. Whether it's building a culture of collaboration in a workplace or encouraging healthier habits within a community, social influence can be a powerful tool when used ethically. In understanding human behavior, you also gain the ability to navigate the complexities of human relationships with more empathy, patience, and care. You begin to see the world through others' eyes, understanding their motivations, fears, and desires. This understanding allows you to communicate more effectively, connect more deeply, and influence decisions in a way that is meaningful and positive. When you master the art of understanding human behavior, you unlock the potential to create relationships that are built on trust, respect, and mutual benefit. By cultivating this understanding in every interaction, you create a ripple effect that can positively impact every aspect of your life.